Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. So in continuing my series on series, today I'm going to be showing you all of the series that I am up to date on, and it's not my fault that I've not finished them. I can blame the author for not having published the book yet. So I have this thing of starting series when they come out because the hype gets to me. I'm like, oh, new book, that sounds so exciting, got to read that right now. Instead of focusing on series that are actually complete and I can finish them like straight away. I don't know why I do this to myself. I see a book and I'm like, oh, new book, and now it's got to the point where I have 18, 19, maybe 20 series that I have started and not finished because I can't. Well, because they're incomplete. And so I will be talking you through all of these today, and I will obviously complete all of these, I just can't quite right now, and that makes me sad. Top of the pile, I have Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. I have read most of Cassandra Clare's books. I've just been reading them for many, many years. I think it would be quite hard for me to go in now and read like her older stuff, but I've just been reading them for so long that I will keep reading everything that she comes out with pretty much. And this is the Last Hours trilogy, and this follows the children of the main characters from the Infernal Devices trilogy. It's set in like 19th century London. You've got a whole like load of characters as they fight demons in the Shadowhunter world. And I believe the next book's coming out in March. I then have Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. I have read both Foundryside and Shorefall, and I'm waiting for the third book, but there is just no information on it. It could be coming, who knows when, but I need it. Like, please, Robert Jackson Bennett, like, just give me something. Like, give me a title, a release date, a cover, I don't know, like, just give me something, please. I just need to know what's going to happen in the final book. This is a, like, just amazing fantasy series with objects that are ascribed to be something else. We have Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angeles, and this is a Carnival Greatest Showman type fantasy, and this is just a duology, and the second book's coming out in June, so I don't have to wait too long to finish this series. Quite a nice fun YA one, which will hopefully be finished next year. Then we have my latest obsession, which is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I've read this and the sequel, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire, and I have a gush for it because I loved it all so much, and I am so anticipating the third book, which is coming out next year. And why did I have to start another incomplete series? But this is so good, so you have to read this one, even though it's not complete. And it's just a fantasy romance, and I love the characters, and the world is so interesting as well. Like, it just combines, it's just 50-50 fantasy romance, and that's just perfect for me. So yes, this one is not going to be incomplete for too much longer, and that's The Poppy Walk by R.F. Kuang. And I know over there in the States, you've already got the third book and you have a chance to read it, but here in the UK the book doesn't come out until the 26th of November, so this is why it is in my not my fault series pile, because I can't get to it just yet, as it's not the 26th as and when I'm filming this. And this is a Asian inspired, really focusing on events from the Sino-Japanese War, and it is so good. It's like, it starts off in like military training school, and then suddenly they're thrown into war, and it's just, everyone is morally great. Like, everyone, you don't really like anyone really, like, they're all not very nice people, but it's just so good. So this one I will finish before the end of 2020. Speaking of which, I also plan to finish An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. The fourth and final book comes out in December, so another one that I will actually be able to finish. It's a Roman-inspired fantasy, and another one that I've been reading for many, many years. I read this when it first came out in like 2014, 2015, so it's been a long time coming for that fourth and final book. One I have just read and added to this long list is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I mean, I've loved Naomi Novik's other books. I've read Uprooted and Spinning Silver, so I just had to buy her newest release and read it, and it's like a school where you either graduate or you die. So I was like, Gothic school, yes please. Here's another series to add to the pile. I also have The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith, and this is like a library in hell. I talk about it in my Magical Libraries video. It is so good. And the second book has come out in the States, but it's not out until February here in the UK, so I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. I'm not sure how many books are in the series, if it's just 2 or if it's a trilogy, but as soon as that book's out, I will read it, and hopefully it is just as good as the first book. I also don't have a copy of Fortuna Sworn by KJ Sutton. The third book comes out in December, but I believe that's a 6-book series. It's a fantasy romance with like different magical beings. So you've got fairies, you've got Fortuna, who's a nightmare, which she's able to, like, if she touches someone, then she can make that person experience their fears as though they are real, and it's so good. And yeah, I'm gonna hopefully read the third book in December. I have The Beautiful by Renee Adier. I don't know how many books are going to be in this series. I've read The Beautiful and The Damned, and I've really enjoyed them. They're set in New Orleans with vampires, and I really enjoyed them both. I've heard this series gets quite a lot of critiques. Supposedly there's not enough vampires in it, but for me I was like, just because they haven't said the word vampires, I mean, these people are like tearing people's throats out. So just because it doesn't have that one word, vampire, doesn't mean that they're not like vampires. I don't know, that criticism annoys me. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this series so far. I thought it was a duology because there's no information on the third book, and then I got to the end of the second book and I was like, oh, this isn't an ending, this is like a cliffhanger. Okay, I guess there's more, but I don't know any information on how many more there's going to be or what's going on there. Unfortunately, when I read that second book, thinking that I was finishing off a series, I wasn't. We also have The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. This one I'm very much on the fence with. That I read the first book and I liked it at the time, but like as more and more time goes by, I'm like, did I really like it? I'm not a massive fan of N.K. Jemisin's writing. We just don't gel. So I don't know if I will continue that series or not. I think it will just have to depend on how I feel when the next book comes out. But I really like the premise, like the embodiment of New York as people and cities being people, but I just really struggle with her execution. And I know that's just a completely personal thing. I know so many people love her works and it's just me. So it's a like potential to continue, but I'm not 100% sure if I will. I then have a couple of books by Leigh Bardugo. So I've read, I think, every book that Leigh Bardugo has put out now. So I have King of Scars in this latest duology, and I'm waiting for the second book. I enjoyed this. I think I'll need to reread it before I get to the second book when it comes out. It's been a little while. Thoroughly enjoyed this, and for me I feel as though Leigh Bardugo has greatly improved as an author as she's gone on. I've been reading her books for many years, like since the Shadow and Bone trilogy first came out, and I always enjoyed those books, and the same with Six of Crows, but I feel as though she's greatly improved in her latest books, and so much so that I loved Ninth House. Like, Ninth House is my favourite book by her. Maybe it's her writing adult that just really spoke to me, but I loved this book. And this is like a Gothic Yale University with secret societies and ghosts and a murder mystery and like disappearances, and I am really anticipating the next book. I don't know if we're getting it in 2021 or it may even be 2022, and I believe this is going to be a massive series. I think there's going to be quite a few books in it, and I am so excited to read them all and probably reread this by the time it gets to that. And I really love this Waterstones edition with the blue. I just love the colour blue. 2 of her books on my incomplete series list. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I have read both Skyward and Starsight, and this is one of my like favourite sci-fi books. I'm not a massive sci-fi reader. Like, I read a lot more fantasy than sci-fi, and I just love this. Like, I found it so compelling, and I really enjoyed Spencer as our main character, and just the alien races and the flight school. Oh, so fun. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the rest of this series and just anything Brandon Sanderson puts out. And speaking of Brandon Sanderson, I've also read Elantris, Warbreaker and The Rhythmatist, which are all currently standalones with the potential that they will become series later on. So I guess they could be added to this list as well. I just haven't, there's no reason why I haven't put them on here, but all of those Brandon Sanderson works I am up to date on and anticipating next books as and when they come out. I would probably have to reread Elantris and Warbreaker as and when Brandon Sanderson ever comes out with a sequel, because, well, I mean, I love them as standalones, but my memory will need a refresh. Then I have Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. I believe this is a trilogy. This book came out, I think it was this year, and I enjoyed it. Like, I don't know if it's like the best YA fantasy that I've ever read, but it follows this girl, and she is from a family of witch doctors, but she hasn't been able to claim her magic yet, and things are all going a bit wrong in her world, and so she's resorted to using other magic to try and fix the situation, and this other magic takes years of her life in exchange. I will be reading the next book as and when it comes out. I'm not too sure. I feel like it's in 2021 the next book comes out. So Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I have read all the whole series. There's 3 main books out plus a novella, and the 4th book comes out early next year, and then I think there's a 5th and final book coming out at some point. And I really enjoyed this series. I don't think it gets enough hype. I love the focus on the friendship. There is romance in this, and there's really interesting magic systems with like different powers depending on what type of witch you are. Like, some people can sense if someone's telling the truth or not. Newer people can see like people's threads of their lives. You can have people that can manipulate people's blood. Like there's so many interesting different types of magic in this world. So I will definitely be continuing on with this series. A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Camera, and the 3rd and final book comes out at the beginning of next year, so I will be reading that straight away. These are fairy tale retellings. The first one follows our main character Harper, and she gets sucked into this fairy tale world. She's originally from Washington, and it's the Beauty and the Beast retelling, so it's to break the curse. I really like the representation of, I believe she has cerebral palsy, but yeah, it's got great representation, and although this sounds like just a generic YA premise, it's really, really good for what it is. And the final one, we're here, we're at the end. The final one is Crescent City by Sarah J Maas. I love everything Sarah J Maas. Ignore what Alan says, don't listen to him. You should read Sarah J Maas. And I've read, I think, every book she's ever published, and as soon as she publishes a book, I drop everything else and will read it straight away. And this is a urban fantasy, adult fantasy with a bit of romance, well, with more than a bit of romance in it, and I just don't know how she does it. I really don't. Like, every time I read a Sarah J Maas book, I just get all these happy feelings, and I'm so sucked in. So as soon as the next book comes out, then I will be reading that. And that is my pile of many, many, many series that I have started and not finished because they're incomplete. I obviously will work my way through all of these in due course, and I am very excited to continue with a lot of them and just work my way through. Unfortunately, a lot of these will probably be sat on my incomplete series for quite a little while because there are many, many books due to come out that I can't help it. But I do really need to read series that are complete. And I need you to hold me to that in 2021, because I cannot keep starting all these incomplete series, and I hate myself for it. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!